Lesson 51, Connecting the Staff and the Violin. Although we read music left to right, top to bottom, just like we read most languages and literature, let's align the staff and the violin visually. So when we think of a violin, we typically think of it this way, right? Or vertical, right? Where the strings go up and down. So when you think of a violin, you think of it this way. Now, if we turn the violin sideways, it is very similar. I guess sideways this way, right? It would be, apologies, this way. This way, yes. So it would be very similar. If you think of the violin sideways, it's very similar to the staff. Now, the violin has 4 strings, but if we just assume just for this demonstration that let's say there's 5 strings, the strings of the violin will be very similar to the way that the staff is used. The G string, if we orient the violin horizontally, where the G string is at the bottom, this is very similar to the way you would read your staff. So G string will be at the bottom, and that is the low note. D string is middle low, A is middle high, and E is the high note. So if we just think and visualize the violin sideways, where the G string is at the bottom, the way that you read the staff and where the things are on the violin are really, really similar, right? G is low, E is high, and we'll place notes in between, going from low to high on the staff. Right? So you'll notice that the thick or the low string is at the bottom, just like on a staff, and E, the thin string, is at the top. Right? And then in the book, visually, it connects notes that you see on the violin, and it draws lines to the staff. So here is page 65, G string. Now I'm holding the violin in a proper shoulder position. So G string is all the way to the left, okay, behind me. And it has 2 extra ledger lines and a note below. So the way we notate open G, to play open G on the violin, is make sure that the staff has the treble clef, okay, and that you have 2 ledger lines and a note below. So when you see treble clef, staff, 2 extra little tiny lines called ledger lines, and a note below, that's open G. So that's 4 Gs. Followed by open D. So when you see the staff and you see a note below the staff sitting right below, that tells you to play open D. In our example in the book, we have 1 line of a staff, we have 4 measures or 4 bars, and each bar has G string, then the next bar has D, has A and E. We'll notice that the 3rd bar of page 65 has 4 A's, and we know that it's A because it's on the 2nd space. And then we have 4 notes at the top space, which is E. And again, if you just visually think of the musical staff and the notes as a graph, and you have points on a graph, you'll notice that the first one is low and it's to the left, and it's low, which is open G. And then it goes up just like a line to the open E. So most people and most kids have already learned how to read a math graph with lines and relationships. So if we then transpose that to music and we think of the musical staff as a math graph, it makes it so much easier because we know where we'll start. To the left, we end to the right. We'll start from the top, we'll go to the bottom. And that notes that are low on the staff will be low, high will be high. If we flip the page, we basically then connect everything that we've done where everything is on the first on the lines to how it looks on the staff. Okay, so pages 66 and 67, we take what we learned from the very few first lessons where we go through what every finger makes, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and it maps it out with lines to where and how it looks on the staff. So very visually, it's really helpful to just know, oh, when I see this note, I see open G. So the very interesting thing to note here is that each string on a staff, you can think of it as a geographic location, okay? So if you look at the top of page 66, you'll notice that the G string, all of the circles are below the staff. So a really cool and neat little trick is if you see notes that are just way below the staff, so you have your 5 lines and 4 spaces, and you have notes below, you know what's on the G string, right? So anything that's below the staff, it's really low, it's on the G string. So here are the G notes, G, A, B, C. And every one of the first three fingers, the first three tapes on the violin, have extra ledger lines. So if you see extra ledger lines below the staff, you know you're on the G string. Now the D string will occupy in the staff the lower part of the staff. So open D is right below the first line. 1 on D is the first line. 2 on D is the first space, and 3 on D is the first space, and then G is the second line. So D string on a musical staff is the bottom portion of the first and second line in space. A string is then kind of a little bit lower from the middle of the staff to the upper staff. So A string is the second space on the staff. B, 1 on A, is the third line, apologies. C, or C sharp, is the third space, and D is the fourth line. And then the E string will be at the top of the staff and a little bit above the staff. All right, so open E is the fourth space. F on E is the top first line. G is above the staff. And 3 is the first ledger line above the staff. So think of reading your notes and think of the staff as a math graph where the y-axis up and down will tell you where the notes are. And we can categorize G string notes will be below the staff with every note having a ledger line, meaning there'll be extra lines added. D string will be at the bottom portion of the staff. A string will be at the top portion of the staff. And E string will be very top and a little bit above the staff. I hope this helps. Please refer to the book because this visually makes a lot of sense and you can begin reading notes and learning lots more songs. Thank you for watching. Again, if you find these videos helpful, please subscribe, please comment and like. It really, really helps. And I'll see you in the next lesson.